Have you ever seen something from the corner of your eye that wasn't there when you looked again? How about hearing from a friend of a friend that while they were hiking somewhere, they thought they saw something impossible? But when they spoke to a park ranger, there was always a simple explanation that left you unsatisfied. My name is Jack, and this is my colleague Chris, and we are Senior Wardens for the Creature Conservation Initiative. We protect the world from the creatures of superstition and myth, but more importantly, protect those same creatures from the world. Well, hello there, people. How are you doing? How is everyone feeling today? Welcome to another episode. And Chris, how are you feeling today?
Hello, I am increasingly old and tired and exhausted, but I'm still kicking, and I will do this podcast until I'm 84.
Excellent.
How about
you?
you?
You're locked into a contract then.
Yes. You can't get rid of me for the next undisclosed amount of years.
Well, we had no intention of.
Sometimes I feel different.
Well, that's on a personal note. I'm doing well, though. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Yeah. What have you been up to this week? Have you been doing anything interesting?
And nothing really to speak of. I've had a few days off, and I've mostly spent half of it wrestling with my cat, as always, because he needs his pills, and the other half I've been just playing some games, climbing virtually, because in reality it's difficult and exhausting. And I'm lazy.
Oh, well, you're going to find the story of today's episode quite interesting, then. A lot of hiking.
My curiosity is I don't know, enabled.
My curiosity has slightly awoken. Well, let's just jump straight into it then, get started.
Yes,
right into it. Dive head first, as they say.
Do we have to jump, or can we just walk slowly down?
Jump, I'm going to make you star jump into it.
I don't want to jump. Why am I
Jumping
here?
jacks into it. Go, go, go.
No, I refuse.
Well, hopefully you'll find today's creature quite interesting, because we are going to speak about a very, very well-known creature. Pretty much everyone has heard of them at some point in their lives, and they kind of stretch through popular culture pretty much non-stop. And that is the Centaur.
Ooh. Yeah, of course I've heard of those. I've heard not great things, to be honest.
Well,
so I'm excited to see how this goes. I haven't really interacted with them at this point, but their public image isn't the best.
No, well, they are nuanced creatures to a certain degree.
That's code for they're horrible.
They certainly can be. Modern depiction of them is pretty accurate to what they actually are. The torso of a person, male or female, kind of grafted onto about where horsey people will know what I'm on about, but the withers are, which is basically where the neck starts on a horse.
The what?
Withers. Highest point of a horse's back before it
Okay.
turns into its neck.
Goddamn horse nerd.
Hey, it's where you actually measure horses from. It's literally the height.
Why can't you just call it the shoulders?
Because the shoulders are something different.
But aren't they in the same place?
Nope.
I mean, what is higher except for the neck and the head?
Withers.
But what
Withers
what
are higher
are
than shoulder.
withers? Do I have withers?
The highest part of the horse's back before it turns to its neck.
But that's not a thing. That's just a place.
It is on horses.
That's stupid. Horses are stupid.
I love annoying people with horsey stuff. It's so funny. But essentially, yes, so it's like you have basically taken off the neck of a horse from the
Does
withers.
that hurt the horse?
But it's like you've taken off the head and neck of the horse from essentially the withers and grafted on everything above, say, like the waist of a human
Sure.
onto that instead. So the back end, the front legs, the back, all of that is a horse, whereas the neck is essentially the waist, torso, head, and even arms of a human.
Okay. Makes sense. So far, no surprises. I, and probably everyone on this planet, has a burning question. I don't know if you're gonna get to it, but how many sets of genitals and where are they placed?
One set of genitals, and it's the horses.
Okay, good for them.
Well, I mean, it depends who you are. But anyway, however,
a huge win for the romantasy community.
Oh, God. Anyway, they have been seen in a few different ways, though, in myth and legend and various things.
Yeah.
So, in different forms of art, and this is obviously where the first kind of part of legend was coming true. Obviously, someone at some point saw a centaur or saw what they thought was a centaur, and just kind of built up the history around it.
Sure.
They are depicted in three different ways. So the normal way I've just told you about, that is the way that they actually are.
Yeah.
But then you have ones where it's a human body with the front legs that are human.
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
And then the hindquarters being the horses. So essentially, you have a standing human, but you've grafted a horse onto their ass.
Oh my god.
So behind the shoulder, essentially, you've cut off behind the horse's shoulders and stuck that onto the backside of a human. Thoughts?
Are they walking upright, or are they still on all fours?
Still on four legs, because essentially it is a human, but you've chopped off a human's ass.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
And shoved the horse's ass on instead.
So basically,
they've got hind legs of a horse.
They're like a trike, like massively lower in the front because human arms are shorter than the horse legs, presumably.
Yes. Unless the horse in question is obviously a Shetland or something, which potentially it could be.
So fluffy.
Or it's so fluffy. Or you essentially have the same kind of thing, except the human legs don't end in human feet; they end in horse feet. So hooves. So basically, below the ankle just suddenly turns into hooves.
Now, I don't know a lot about horse anatomy, but that sounds like it wouldn't work. One of the few things I know.
That is one of the oldest depictions of, like, centaurs, or what people thought centaurs were.
Yeah.
So it is very, very old in history. And just an interesting part of the myth. And there are even a few depictions of centaurs as winged beasts. So they've got wings, so they could fly.
Okay.
But again, all of these were essentially just a load of rubbish. It's not what a centaur is.
Okay, so it's not based on anything that
easily...
could have been there. It's just made up entirely.
Pretty much, yeah. Or at the very least, a misinterpretation of what someone is seeing.
I see.
Because centaurs, as a rule, generally do keep to themselves.
So they don't like being the center of attention.
I'm going to shoot you.
I was waiting to... I'm contractually obligated to put this joke in there somewhere.
I knew it, and I'm still going to shoot you.
That's fair, but also worth it.
But obviously, as we all know, essentially, centaurs, you see them all around Greek mythology and Greek myth. That's pretty much where they seem to have come from. They traditionally have existed in the kind of mountainous areas of Thessaly and Arcadia. Those are kind of regions within Greece itself. Obviously, very, very old kind of areas. But with the myths, the legends, that tends to be where they are from.
Mhm.
However, there is some very, very old kind of texts and things like that that predate even the Greeks that do mention them kind of described in kind of Babylonia.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's present-day Iraq, and there have been we have unearthed some stone carvings showing creatures that look very, very much like centaurs. So centaurs have been around for a very, very long time, but they weren't really, really kind of well known until Greek times. And the simple fact is, they have actually found their way into quite a few countries. A fair few countries, like India and Russia, do have stories of centaurs.
Okay.
So they're not just within a certain area. And we have found within, well, the CCI have confirmed essentially that they are worldwide. They just are hidden, and they like mountainous regions. They like to live in their own communities and stay away from people.
I see. I mean, it sounds... I'm gonna assume they're about horse size, and that seems like hard to hide when you have that big of an ass.
Well, I mean, you say that, but they are intelligent creatures, but we'll kind of get onto that later on. They're not just, well, I'm about to say they're not instinct driven, but they kind of are, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. So
okay. They are, but they justify it.
Yeah, in a way.
All right.
So if we go back to kind of Greece and where they believe that the centaurs came from, they have a few different kind of origin stories, which are always quite interesting to go along. Because, you know, Greek mythology is all very interesting, especially if you like salacious rumors.
Absolutely.
So centaurs are said to be the product of the Greek king of the Lapiths of Thessaly, known as Ixion, and a mass of clouds that Zeus created.
Clouds?
That looked like Hera.
That's not where I expected this to go.
Well, that's Greek mythology.
I was thinking just Zeus banged a horse or something.
No, not this time. Zeus created this mass of clouds that looks like the Greek goddess Hera, because apparently the mortal king Ixion made a pass at Hera at some point.
Okay.
And Hera was very, very annoyed and told Zeus. And Zeus wanted Ixion to prove whether he was lustful or whether he was faithful or whatever. And evidently, Ixion failed that test and ended up getting this massive clouds known as Nephili pregnant. And that's where the centaurs came from.
How do clouds get present?
You mean pregnant?
So, pregnant, yes. I'm too confused by the logistics going on here. So Zeus basically didn't just take a bunch of clouds and turned it into a sex puppet, but also gave it biology and presumably sentience?
Apparently. There's so
Jesus Christ.
This gets wilder. That's one way.
Okay, good.
There is also a man who potentially could be the child of Ixion and this cloud Nephili, called Centaurus, who slept with a Magnesian mare and created centaurs.
There's the horse banging.
There's the horse banging, apparently.
Do you realize how we keep coming back to furries, essentially?
Mythology caters to furries.
It really does.
The simple truth.
History is written by the furries.
Not the victors, the furries.
Yep.
But there is an even weirder one to go on. So, apparently, the Cyprian centaurs, so obviously the Cyprus centaurs, who had ox-like horns on their heads rather than just like normal human kind of heads. So they literally had ox's horns as well, who apparently were created by the fact that Zeus was trying to sleep with Aphrodite.
Of course he was.
Aphrodite eluded Zeus, and Zeus was apparently so worked up that he covered Cyprus.
Okay.
And
sure.
that gave birth to the Cyprian Centaurs.
Oh, covered in that way.
Yep.
I see.
I'm not talking, he walked.
What the hell? I love how basically every myth starts with Zeus wanted to bang someone or something.
Pretty much just how it goes in Greek mythology, isn't
it?
Yeah. And then there is the Lamian Pharaohs, who were a people that annoyed the goddess Hera because Zeus was trying to protect the infant Dionysus, the god Dionysus, from Hera's machinations, and he set the Lamian Pharaohs to protect the infant child, or the infant god.
Mm-hmm.
And Hera, when she discovered these people were protecting the infant god, she turned them into centaurs, and that's their origin.
All right.
So basically, lots and lots and lots of the gods really messing with people. It's pretty much all different ways.
As they do.
Obviously, none of these are like the actual origin. The actual origin is they're just creatures, but we don't have all of that information.
Yeah.
Centaurs, as you kind of alluded to at the start, they are seen in a very specific way. They are seen as very wild, untamed, kind of virile, and very lascivious, as well as incredibly strong. Pretty much all of the stories around them do depict them as being able to, lift boulders and crush people, and they are dangerous. They are very powerful as far as everything goes. However, it is important to note they are intelligent creatures. They can converse with us, and they do converse with us. Okay. They have their own little societies, but they are just that little bit more kind of instinctual in how they act. And if they want something, they will take it. Such as one of the major stories about centaurs is their war with the Lapiths, who they invited the centaurs to the marriage of one of their king, and the centaurs came to the marriage, and instead of just attending, getting drunk, being very essentially being wedding guests, they decided instead to kidnap the bride.
Sure, why not?
I have not looked into it enough to know why, but you could probably guess why.
Yeah.
Greek mythology.
A lot of covering going on.
A lot of covering. Oh, God. But that caused a war between the Lapiths and the Centaurs, which actually ultimately the Centaurs lost because of various heroes' interventions and all of that kind of thing. That is probably the most well-known story of them, and probably the way in which a lot of people see them. Very dangerous creatures that just do what they want to. But there are obviously stories about them and their intelligence, such as the very, very famous Greek hero Chiron, who was a centaur that taught pretty much every single hero in some manner, because he was an immortal at the time.
At the time?
Well,
did he stop?
Yes, actually, at some point he did.
Oh.
Chiron was a master of medicine and intellect and astronomy, all of those kinds of things. So did interact with a lot of Greek heroes and mythological figures, and taught them various things and was a guide. And we've seen that because he turns up in popular culture in that kind of way quite often.
Yeah.
And he is not weird of a centaur. It's not unheard of that centaurs can be like that. He kind of was a bit more what you would consider civilized, but at the same time, what do we consider civilization? It's different for different creatures.
Sure.
And Chiron lived on Mount Pelion, and he actually was the ancestor of quite a few Greek heroes, such as Achilles. Achilles was essentially a grandchild of Chiron.
Interesting.
And Chiron
Again,
would actually...
with the covering.
Again, with the covering. Chiron would actually turn into, in Greek mythology, the constellation of Centaurus that we see in the sky now.
Oh.
After he gave up his immortal life, after he renounced his immortality for Prometheus, after he got hit by a poisoned arrow accidentally shot by, I believe, Heracles, essentially.
I'm not sure I can quite follow that series of events, but
If I'm perfectly honest, I'm not too sure I can. This is all just kind of the different stories that exist around centaurs.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they can be lascivious, yes, they can be lustful, yes, they can be dangerous, but they can also be incredibly smart, incredibly useful teachers. They can really, really add to society. It all comes down to, again, how you interact with them and how they see you, which kind of brings me on to the story about how I've interacted with them.
Yes. Was there covering involved?
No, there wasn't covering involved.
Boring.
I was in an undisclosed location.
Yes.
Because we're not sending people out to go find centaurs. Otherwise, there'll be more covering involved, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Unless they go undercover.
God, that's scary. But I was just working out in an undisclosed location, a very mountainous region and everything. And I was actually just helping out on a kind of ranching area that a contact of the CCI they operate it and they look after the region. They give us information, etc. And
Sure.
one of their things that they do is that they just run a ranch out there, and occasionally I don't mind going out and helping there when we are doing things like a debrief with them and just checking up or checking in, seeing if there's anything we can provide. You know, all of those kinds of things. I enjoy it. It's a part of the job, community outreach, whatever you want to call it. I just enjoy going out there. And while I was out there, we were actually having an issue with people stealing horses.
Mm-hmm. Those are supposed to be great people, I hear. Once you can steal horses with.
So while I'm out there, I'm just kind of helping out, finding, looking after the horses there, debriefing, getting information about the general region. And we knew that there were some centaurs in the area.
Yeah.
Now, when you've got centaurs and you've got horses in the area, and you've just got to be really, really careful, because if you have people stealing horses and the centaurs see, it can very easily be mistaken for their stealing or harming centaurs in some way, or the creatures that the centaurs believe are their own, or all of those kinds of things. It's very, very easy for that to occur. And as we've already said, centaurs, they are very ruthless creatures when it comes to dealing out justice.
And apparently protective of horses.
Apparently very protective of horses. I don't really want to know why, if I'm perfectly honest. But you could probably make educated guesses. I called in a couple of favors, got some equipment sent up to the ranch. The CCI weren't going to send any more wardens, but I can help out. These kind of issues are supposed to be handled by kind of the mundane authorities, police, etc., not kind of weirdos like us. So I called in a couple of favors and just got some cameras and got some equipment and some like geotagging stuff sent up, just tracking stuff. Start putting them on horses and various things, and then I would start doing a bit of a patrol around the area. I set up a very specific patrol route, mounted up, and just started riding. Essentially, just riding the trails
towards the center of the area. Maybe
I'm going to hurt you.
I mean, you already are, so might as well go all in.
Mentally or physically, I'm going to hurt you if you carry on. But about 2 days into my patrol, moving around, I saw kind of signs of kind of camps, and so I went to investigate, and I found very obvious signs of people obviously setting up camps. Essentially, I found signs of thieves and poachers and various things. So
Yeah.
I was getting down locations and writing it down to send to the police so they can come and investigate and do what they need to. I'm not
Yeah.
looking to override the police in this kind of thing. I'm just trying to help and get information and
see.
use our better resources to help prevent this horse theft from going on and help find them. And while I'm in one of these camps, probably about the third one I found,
Yeah.
all of a sudden I can hear what sounds like hooves trotting very close by. So
a zebra, probably.
Yeah, maybe. No, donkey. I go mount my horse and try and ride a little bit into the undergrowth, so I'm relatively well hidden. And turns out that some centaurs came along and found this camp as well.
Okay.
Now, one thing I hadn't realised, because I wasn't actually dealing with centaurs at the time, that wasn't one of the jobs I'd been sent on. One of the things I found was that it turns out they've got a really good sense of smell.
Interesting.
And I had been riding pretty much about 3-4 hours. I was quite sweaty. I wouldn't exactly say I was undetected. I wouldn't exactly say I was undetectable by scent.
I see. Business as usual.
Hey, I'm not that bad. I use deodorant. It's just showers aren't close in these kind of environments sometimes.
Of course.
So it becomes very, very obvious very quickly that they know I'm nearby.
Yeah.
And then they start getting very, very aggressive. They do use weapons. Obviously, in myth and legend and things, they're very much, bow and arrows and spears and swords and all that kind of stuff. Turns out they have graduated with the times.
Oh, no.
So there are centaurs with Glocks.
That sounds pretty bad. Not gonna lie.
It certainly ain't good for me.
No, absolutely not. That's a terrifying thought, to be honest.
When it becomes very obvious they know where I am, or at least they know roughly which direction they're going, because all of a sudden they're pointing guns my way.
Jesus Christ.
I made a break for it and just started cantering off very quickly. Obviously, luckily, I'm a horseman. I know what I'm doing. I can ride well, but no matter how good a rider I am, I know how to ride a horse. They essentially are horse.
Yep.
They know their bodies better than I know a horse's body. So
I hope so.
You know what I mean. Stop making it weird.
I would never.
So I've got a good head start. I'm probably about half a kilometre ahead of them all times, but they are catching up to me relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And all I can hear is snorting and shouting from behind me. And I'm thinking, oh, they think I'm actually one of the thieves. They assume I'm one of the thieves because they've smelt my scent in the camp. So as far as they're concerned, I'm one of them. And I do not want to be caught. So I am just going full pelt as fast as I can, trying to get away, trying to get my phone out to call someone in the CCI. Of course, that is when apparently I'm in a spotty zone for signal.
Of course.
I ain't getting anyone on the phone. And I'm just trying to escape. Trying to think what's the easiest way, because I was going to try and loop back to the ranch. Because, like I've said already, they don't really like being around people. They're not going to burn down a ranch just to get to one person. They might watch it, but they're not going to burn down a ranch just to get to one person. But the thing is, they were between me and the ranch. So
that's a problem.
I'm trying to find a way to loop round. There's about 6 or so centaurs, or at least I think there could be more, there could be less. I didn't really count. I just left. I just ran. And lo and behold, as I'm kind of galloping along, all of a sudden, I come across another camp. As I'm riding into said camp, where there's about 4 people. And this camp was very well hidden. And it's
I
very,
see.
very obvious very quickly, all of a sudden,
And-
I've not just ridden into any camp, I've ridden into the thieves' camp.
Great. And you let the centaurs right there. I can imagine the scene. You're just riding straight through. You're screwed. Out the other end.
Well, unfortunately, they obviously heard that I was coming as well. And it turned out that the thieves were armed as well. So I kind of rode into
Are
this
we gonna
camp.
get in a gang fight?
Felt like I was about to. I rode into this camp, and all of a sudden, there's guns pointed at me. They're blocking off routes. They're standing in the way of things. I'm trying not to run people over and things because I don't want to injure the horse that I'm riding, because that's my only way of escaping. Now, obviously, like I've said, I am armed. I'm not armed in a way to take on however many centaurs and however many thieves there are.
But if you let them fight each other.
That's kind of going through my head, but at the same time, I'm just sitting there thinking, I don't know what to do. I'm not sitting there going, I've got a mastermind plan here. I've stumbled on these thieves. These centaurs are probably minutes behind me, ready to catch me. And the thieves obviously don't want to be caught, so they've got weapons out. They're telling me to dismount from the horse. I'm kind of just going, like, there's things coming. Can we maybe want to leave? Maybe, can we work together on this one here a little bit? You kneel, surrender, and it wasn't going bad. They're still shouting at me. I get off the horse, and to be fair, I do go down onto my knees, hands up, just going, because I'm thinking, at this point, I do not want to be seen as one of the thieves. This is probably the best way to show I'm not one of the thieves.
Makes sense.
So they're kind of coming towards me, weapons all pointed at me. I've got my hands up, and what do they do? All of a sudden, I just hear one of them go, what the hell is that?
I can tell you.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, and I am not making any of this up, I am stood, well, not stood, I'm kneeling down on the dirt with a horse's reins in my hand, and the other hand up, looking at about 4 or 5 thieves, all with weapons pointed at me, while they're looking past me with massively wide eyes, because there is about 6 centaurs standing behind me, pointing handguns at them.
Oh, God.
At this point, I am starting to wonder, am I in a fever dream?
It sounds it.
Because it feels like I'm in a fever dream.
Yeah.
Like, how does this happen? Why is my life like this? To which, the centaurs basically tell them, drop your weapons. They're shouting at me, what the hell is going on? I'm going, as good a guess as any. And to be fair, one of the centaurs does actually shoot one of the thieves. Doesn't kill them. Turns out they really like to do it very, very slowly.
I'm not surprised, to be honest.
Shoots him in the leg, and the rest of them are pointing at them. The thieves start getting the idea and kind of just, drop weapons. They're outnumbered, they're outgunned. They're in a really weird situation. And the centaur actually is this is kind of some of their brutality. He walks up and actually stands on the leg of the guy he shot. Ooh. You can hear crunching. It wasn't nice. At which point they kind of turn to me and go, explain yourselves. Explain what is happening here. And this is why I'm glad that they are intelligent. Because I did explain to them. I, told them what I was doing. Told them I was looking for these people to bring them to justice. Told them I was stopping them from stealing horses. There were a few horses that they'd had stolen and they were trying to move out of the area. In the camp, so I was pointing out that, I'm here to collect those horses, bring them back to this ranch. They're a little bit dubious, but I thought I'd, throw a bit of a Hail Mary, and because we knew that centaurs were in this area, I got my CCI ID out. And it turns out that they were actually in contact with the CCI. There were wardens going up into the mountains. So they knew what my ID was. They didn't think it was just a load of rubbish. And they kind of went,
just
okay,
looks like it.
Sometimes. And they accepted that, and so they allowed me to stand and, going on.
Yeah.
Then they started proclaiming the sentence, shall we say, on these thieves.
Uh-huh.
To which I was just turned around and went, please, let's not. I know what your punishments for these people are going to be. I don't think I can allow it. But if we do something for you, can I take them? And they can be dealt with by our authorities, and it'll be way worse. We'll do awful things to them. We'll leave them in an awful state. Basically promising everything that I possibly can.
Okay.
To which they were a little bit amenable to it, but they wanted to know what they get in return. Turns out, really like wine and beer.
Who doesn't?
So I just said, okay then, the CCI, we will send you a year's supply of wine and beer. Well, it was either that or they execute 4 people in front of me, and frankly, I didn't want to deal with that.
Makes
let alone,
sense.
I didn't want to have to explain that to the authorities when they come across and these 4 people are missing.
That's completely fine. My mind just immediately went to the logistics again, because I'm gonna guess that it takes a lot more beer to get a horse drunk than one of our size. So that was a lot of beer and wine, probably.
Yes, but that is finance and supplies problem, not mine.
Oh, God. Please don't let's do this, finance department. Retroactively stop listening 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. But essentially, yes, they allowed me to do it. I tied up these people, called for the police.
Yeah.
As the police were kind of getting into the area, about 10 minutes away, the Centaurs melted back into their mountains and went and hid. Or return to their whatever they needed to do. We got the horses back, we got the people taken to jail, and basically we got a good conviction from it.
All right.
And yeah, and we got a bunch of Centaurs drunk. I never know how much was actually ever sent up there, as you were saying. I do know that the supply guys in that area were quite annoyed with me. But again, not my issue.
Yeah.
I'm a warden. I'm tasked with getting the job done, and I got the job done however I could. But they have also not allowed me to go up to that ranch ever since, and that was a couple of years ago.
Well, I'm not surprised.
But yeah, that's my story and my encounter with Centaurs as a CCI warden.
All right. I just have one more question, I guess. Where do they get the guns? Are they legal guns? Do they have official Centaur weapon arms dealers, or is it from the streets? Are they gangs?
Honestly, I'd like to say maybe, poachers in their area and things like that, they take weapons from them and just kind of scavenge it. I do wonder if maybe we supply some stuff. I don't know. I see. It's not a question I've really asked.
Maybe we shouldn't ask it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where I would probably rather not have the answer.
Yeah.
But either way, these guys were armed. I mean, maybe these were the only guns they had in their entire colony. But either way, it's certainly a moment, because I'm used to seeing Centaurs, carrying bows and arrows and various things like that from depictions. It's definitely a different situation to see one just pointing a handgun at you.
Yeah.
It is one of those things where you wonder if you've maybe strayed a little bit close to a couple of mushrooms.
I can believe that. Am I gonna get trampled or shot? Who knows?
Saying that, where is somewhere that people could maybe get a bit too close to some mushrooms?
Oh, well. For legal reasons, I can't tell you where the mushroom channel is, but there's a link to our Discord in the episode description, where you can risk a click and join our mushroom community of responsible horse lovers. And I don't know where this is going. Anyway, you can join our Discord. You can talk about the show. You can talk about mushrooms. You can talk about creatures that we've had on the show. You can talk about creatures that you would like us to talk about on the show, because between Jack and I, we have dealt with a lot of things, and if there are new things, we are most often the expendable people who get sent on these kinds of missions. So just ask away for whatever you want to know, and just generally hang out and, do something about mushrooms. Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
While you're doing those mushrooms, what else could they be doing, Jack?
Well, I mean, you could probably be looking at your life and thinking, is this where I really want to be going? But at the same time, you could be looking at your life and thinking, oh, is this where I want to be going? Because you'll be looking at the list of episodes and previous specials and various things that we have on your podcasting app of choice and on YouTube and whatever you would like to watch us or listen to us on, whichever device, your TV, your phone, your MP3 player, your Zooz,
your
whatever. I don't know if they've had Bluetooth connectivity with them yet, but
I mean, we're in 2026. I'm pretty sure everything is Bluetooth now.
In some way, it probably does. But yeah, you can go and you can listen to old episodes. And when I say old, I mean just our current back catalogue, because none of it is needed to be listened to in order. You can enjoy them in any order you would like, so just pick a creature and go with it.
You can also go in order. We're not the police.
Yes, you can go in order. You don't have to go in order. It's completely up to you.
Yeah.
It is chaos around here. Go for it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you should be rating us, giving us 5 stars, thumbs up, follows, likes, whatever the kids are doing on your software of choice. Yes, rate us. Absolutely. It doesn't hurt our feelings or anything.
As long as you rate us positively, of course. Otherwise, I'll cry.
Yes, you see, you want to make Chris cry, don't you? So, rate us in some way, because the algorithm gods don't
Wait
care.
a moment.
No, we're moving on.
No.
But yeah, just kind of throw into it whatever you want to. And whatever your kind of software of choice is, just get straight into it and enjoy our previous episodes and be on the lookout for the next episodes. But at the same time, I think that's pretty much everything to talk about. So unless there's anything you would like to say, Chris, I think that's it for us.
I hate talking on here. Why would I have anything to say?
Fair enough. Well, on that note, thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a lovely day, and goodbye.
Goodbye.